Welcome to another episode of the Journeys of Not So Ordinary People podcast. I am one of your co hosts. I'm Dr. Joe Hamlett. And alongside me, as always, is Dr. Dave. How are you doing today, Dr. Dave?
Most excellent there, Dr. Joe.
We're already being dramatic into the right couple of minutes into the episode. So we'll see what happens for the remainder of the episode. Well, we want to welcome you all back to the Personal, Professional, and Career Development Podcast, where we share our journeys, we share the journeys of others, so that you can benefit and gain something from this, hopefully, that you can apply to your journey. Because as I've said it many times before, we're all on a journey. Me and Dave are still on a journey together on the podcast as well as on our own separate journey. So we're just glad to be here to share our journey with you. With that, I know it was a little long winded, but we're excited today. So, um,
What
a
is
lot of
today,
things
Joe?
happening.
What
Say
is
again.
today? What is today, Joe? What is today?
Oh, so I'm going to go and throw our topic out there because it is definitely relevant to what we will be discussing today. So today's topic is year three in review, another milestone, right? So
Awesome.
what does
Woo.
that mean? When me and Dave started this podcast almost 4 years ago, actually 4 years, including this episode, or it's 3 years. But think back to when we were contemplating doing this podcast, and we never would have imagined that we would be sitting here today in front of you talking about approaching year four. So we are very excited about where we are today. So with that, Dave, like we always do, I will hand it off to you, just to get us going on year three in review, another milestone.
Joe, I am so happy to be on this journey with you, brother, man. Oh my gosh, this is one hell of a ride. So I want to back up just a little bit. And when we first started bringing guest speakers in, that was season two. We had six.
Right.
This year, season three, 25 guest speakers, 10 of
Wow.
them doctors, all experts in their fields, phenomenal stories, phenomenal conversations. Oh my gosh. Just amazing, amazing people that are reaching out to us, that are becoming a part of our network, part of our community, and just want to thank them all. Part of me wants to read all of their names off, but I don't know that that's necessarily relevant or needed. But definitely to touch on some of their topics. Um, so I'm just going to run through these real quick, or some of them. Maximize your
Okay.
space, square peg round hole, surpassing expectations, getting along as I get older, making better teams, moving people forward, fighting through barriers, learning opportunities, story sharing, leveling up, removing labels, empowered succession planning, women in business, urban literacy, coaching love, journey with boundaries, mindset, demanding better, betting on yourself, opportunities after education, failing forward, translating emotions, origin story, and find your path. Oh my gosh. I love it. It's who would have thunk that we would have had 25 guest speakers in season three? That is
Right.
just amazing. Blows my mind. And what great conversations.
Right. And again, as we started this journey, with the Journeys of Not So Ordinary People podcast, the idea initially was just to share our journeys, again, to help, potentially help other people to not have to take the long scenic route. But what we've learned through this process is the fact that everyone, and it's the premise for the podcast, is everyone has a journey, and everyone's journey is relevant. We're all on different planes or levels of our journeys, but they're all relevant. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest takeaways that we've had, with all the guests we've had this past year. Like Dave said, to go from 6 to 25 is already a tremendous feat. And so to again sit back and hear all the different topics we discussed, and again, people from different levels, people with, started out with some things, and other people start out with nothing, and we're able to progress and move to different levels. Again, they may not thought imaginable as well. So I'm just so excited that again, like you say, we're at year three, end of year three, which means if you put that into perspective, 156 episodes in a row that we have posted out there once a week for your enjoyment, for hopefully for you to gain something. And again, we've said this before too. If out of all those 156 episodes, if one person took something away from those episodes that they could apply in their journey to help them move forward, then it's been well worth it. So, what are your
Absolutely.
thoughts, Dave? I mean,
Yeah, I'm just echoing. Yeah, I'm just like I'm totally on board. Yeah, if just one person out of any episodes that we've ever done or will do, then we've done what we've needed to do, to help one person, hopefully more than one, not take the long
right,
scenic route. And maybe it's not just you and I, but maybe it's you and I providing just a space for someone else to share their journey
right,
that's more relatable. And that's the power of this podcast. The the people that we've had on, the guest speakers we've had on in season three, so many of them are like, we love what you do. We love the title. We love where this is going. We want to be a part of this. What can we do to help you? And that was something that you and I never fathomed. We thought this was just going to
right,
be about, well, maybe a little bit arrogant, but a little bit more about us until we realized that, hey, there are other stories, there's other perspectives and perceptions that are out there that need to be heard, or at least have an opportunity to be heard. And we have. I mean, I listed 25 topics out of 52 for that
right,
year. I mean,
right,
that is amazing. And in addition to the guest speakers, we started doing something else. May, June of 2024, about a third of the way through the season, we started introducing 11 quotes, 11 takeaways, and a weekly checklist based upon that week's podcast. Some people want to hear a podcast, some people want to watch a podcast, some people love quotes, some people love takeaways, just little snippets, and some people want a checklist on, hey, what can I do with this podcast? And we started introducing that. So the content has just increased exponentially. And then in the fourth quarter of last year, December, because season three ends the end of February 2025, we had our first live webinar. So going forward, this is just the beginning. This is like Joe said in the beginning, this is a new milestone. We're in a whole new space this year.
right. Yeah. And again, not knowing this is where we were headed when we started this podcast after, having hours and hours of conversation daily, weekly, and then turn it into a podcast. And then, like you said, to continue to evolve, to get to this point, which again, we never imagined that it would turn into this. And then, you know, where does this take us? And we've said this many times on the podcast. We don't know what we want to do when we grow up. So this is again along that narrative that we don't know where this ends up. But like Dave said, we've had some great guests on here, conversations about collaborations and doing more things for this upcoming season. So I think you're all going to be pleasantly surprised. Like Dave said, we put more content out there, so if people can't you know sit through an entire podcast or sit through or watch a video for half an hour, there are still takeaways, there's still quotes, there's still checklists that they can reach out there and grab, and just to again to get something from that podcast. So like Dave said, we never would imagine that we would be at this level, at this point where we're putting on more guests and we're putting out more content, but the goal is to continue to grow, to
Mhm.
continue to develop, and so again, excited about what that looks like. So hopefully that'll bring you back, and again, you'll gain more from these podcasts.
Yeah, and we have people actually reaching out to us as of November, December, January, February saying, hey, can I be on your podcast? Can we at least get an introduction? I think I have a relevant story that should be heard. And many of these people do. It's like we learn at least one thing from every guest speaker,
Right.
at least one thing. I mean, and that's a lot to learn, and the minimum one piece. We're
Right.
usually jotting down four, five, six things on sticky notes and that sort of thing. And these guest speakers are so dynamic, so powerful. Their stories are just they resonate on so many levels. And to your point, Joe, some people have started. I mean, we come from humble beginnings. Some people have come from way less than that. We've had guest speakers that have started out in the projects of various cities, United States and globally, that we've had on the podcast. We've had people that have started out that were very fortunate, but they took a different route, only to circle back and provide, be able to provide a different type of insight. We've had people that have come from affluent families that have decided, hey, I'm going to go to Hollywood. Well, that really didn't work, and then circle back and realize, hey, there's something to be said about that journey, you
Right.
know? And, it's just, I love the sheer breadth of and scope of the talent that we have of the people that come on. We have anywhere from line staff, we have CEOs, we have people that are self-made, people that were displaced and changed and made their careers into something, created their own careers. We've had people that have had multiple careers. We've had people with single trajectories, men, women, all backgrounds. And the thing that we have in common is that we all have a shared vision to help other people in one way, form, or shape or another. We're here. And, when we talk about personal, professional, and career development, that is a huge umbrella. There are so many pieces of that pie with these different perspectives and different stories. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing to hear what these people bring to the podcast. And as I mentioned, we're having international guest speakers now, which
Right.
is something that we never even thought possible. Yet here we are.
Well, I think it just goes back to where we started, when I first started introducing the podcast, the idea or the fact that, again, all of our journeys are relevant, all of our journeys add substance, and hopefully, again, our audience out there can resonate with someone who may be similar to them or close to them, or see them do amazing things to let you know that you can do amazing things. And again, that was my first thoughts when we were even considering this podcast, is just to help people understand that they have the ability to be great. They have the
Mhm.
potential to be great. And I think with us bringing on, more and more guests, sharing their stories, and hearing, again, some people start at lowest levels, making it up to the highest levels, and then people starting already at a good place, choosing a different route and then coming back. So again, just hearing all those different journeys, like Dave said, in a lot of cases, we're sitting here just taking notes, just like everybody else, just
Mhm.
because I've said this many times before too, is I still have an open mind to the possibilities. So everything I hear from people, I try to absorb it and apply it as best as I can to my situation, to my journey, to again help me further down the road. I mean, just even some of the suggestions made on the podcast, and maybe not make it to air, but just some of the conversations we've been having with some of these guests has been very powerful, and has helped us with our trajectory to where we are today, and just us thinking about what the future of this podcast is, where we go from here, what
Mhm.
else we can do, more collaborations, more people. And that's how that's occurred, is because we had people bringing in different insights. I think Dave said that earlier, that now we can glean from. That now, again, I love that he said this, because I was going to say this, but building this community of
Mhm.
people, and I think that's the most powerful thing, is that community aspect of this. Just again, just bringing people in here with similarities, differences, but forming this community where we can continue to share. And again, I think Dave said this too, the idea that we all want to help somebody else. And I think
Mhm.
that's been one of the gravitational pulls to the podcast, is because that's what we're here for. I mean, we again started sharing our experiences just so if people were having similar experiences, or had past that weren't the best. That was, our intention
Mhm.
for starting the podcast. But now, again, it's evolved to just bigger, better, And like Dave said, just some of the guests we've had, you probably said in some of our episodes, we're in awe, just because again, they've decided to be on our podcast to share their journeys and to, again, hopefully impact other people as well. So been an amazing last year. And so I'm just excited about what's next on the podcast.
Yeah, one of the things that stands out to me that several of our guest speakers have said is when I was going through my journey, or when I hit this point, this low point, or this plateau, or just being lost or not sure what to do or how to get over or around this obstacle, I couldn't find anyone out there like me, or someone
Right.
like me that resonated. And now that we have the guest speakers that we have, a lot of those barriers are being removed, or at least brought down a little bit to where they can see over the wall to say, hey, there is someone like me. It may not be Dave or Joe, but there's someone like me that resonates.
Right.
And some of these things go back through, I thought you and I had some tough times growing up. There are people that had a lot worse off than us.
Right.
Some people have, gone through things that you and I can't even imagine. And dare I say, even want to imagine, but they've overcome these obstacles, be it personal, professional, or career wise, from being displaced to traumatic situations to, starting over to finding themselves to,
Right.
quitting addiction and overcoming addiction. I mean, whatever that looks like. I mean, there are so many stories out there that tie into this personal, professional, and career development. And it's just been an absolutely amazing ride this past year, the season 3. I mean, I'm looking at the list of names and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, you and I pale in comparison. We bring all those 25 people together, we pale compared to a lot of their stories
Right.
because the dynamics are so different. They're so much more challenging for some of these people. It's not to say that we're the best, because we're not. We don't know everything, and we acknowledge that. But it really helps us put things into perspective to say, hey, there are voices out there, there are stories out there that are going to resonate with someone, that need to be brought into the community. That we, there's these voices that want to be heard, and they're sharing their stories in small pockets. But here's another opportunity for them to share and reach a bigger audience. So to say, hey, I'm here for you. I've been there. Reach out to me. I can help. And I think that is one of the most powerful and beautiful things about this podcast.
Well, I'm glad you also brought that up. Just the idea that now we have people we can reach out to. If we start feeling low, if we have, things pop up in our lives that may be challenging. Again, now we've heard 25 stories that we may be able to reach out to them and say, "Hey, how did you overcome this?" I remember you said this. So again, now having 25 more people that we can reach out to, that like you say, many have overcome a lot of obstacles and things that we may not ever even considered or would never want to have to go through. So just having access to those new people to again share. And like I say, it's just, if you go back and look at some of those episodes with some of our guests, you could see us just listening in as intently as you may be in some of our episodes. So it's just been a learning, continuous learning, and a growth, and to be in a position to continually meet amazing people, and to for them to share their stories, for us to relate, and to again continue to grow, these opportunities to meet new people, to learn new things, to again present all these things for you all out there, things we maybe can't relate to or have not experienced. And now we bring all these new experiences and all these new backgrounds, all these new things. So that's been our goal this past second part of the year, and it will continue moving forward with it. Not exactly sure where this ends up, but again, we're excited about the journey. Again, that's what it's all about. It's just, where is this going to take us? And so we're excited about the potential. Where does this end up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking over, I'm just reflecting over the our first 3 years. In the first year, we were kind of finding our way. And as we tell many of our guest speakers off air, The first two episodes will never see the light of day. They were absolutely horrible. It's not an uncommon story. It's why we do the podcast the way we do. Second year, we found our niche, and then we realized, hey, maybe we should have some guest speakers. So we had six guest speakers, and then the third year, it's like it morphed in, like you mentioned, it morphed into something that we'd never even imagined. And I love each year for what they are, but I think the third year so far has been my favorite just because
Right.
of the sheer dynamics of our guest speakers. And again, I'm looking at the topics that you and I discuss and that were discussed with the guest speakers. And I encourage you, if this is your first time listening, go back to season three, go back to season two. If you're daring enough, go back to season one and listen to some of these episodes because they are so relevant, uh, albeit in the earlier times they're a little bit more rough, but I mean they're so relevant, they're so timely. They hit on a lot of topics and pain points and successes that many of us are trying to figure out. Even Joe and I, a few weeks back, we talked with a person and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is just the tip of the iceberg for you guys. Keep doing it."
Right.
We've had several guest speakers ask us, "What is your intent with this podcast? How far do you want to go? Do you want to get on one of these big networks?" And we're like, "Hmm, didn't think about that." So that prompted Joe and I to put together our 25, 26, and 27 goals. We now have those. We had another individual say, "Hey, love what you're doing with the podcast, but there's got to be more to it." And we had a powerful discussion around that, which was around the consulting business that Joe and I started. That's kind of like the behind the scenes of the podcast, on personal, professional, career development and organizational development. All these things intertwine, and it's helped us see things in a new light from a different perspective through other people's perceptions and their influence, and just their sheer not motivation, inspiration, the inspiration that they bring to us, to
Right.
say, wow, here's another person that has gone to this level, which they never thought that they would have. And we've had people with college degrees and doctorates, several doctorates. We've had people without college educations that have done absolutely amazing things. So, talk about broadening our knowledge base or opening our eyes. This year has just been season three has just blown my mind, Joe. It really has. I mean, we talk about being excited. I'm thinking if season four is going to be even remotely close to season three in the way we've progressed, we're in for a huge surprise in a very good way.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'm just excited for season four, just because, like you said, I don't know what's out there. I mean, I think it's endless, or the boundaries. There's no boundaries. We're exploring. We're looking at where does this go. What do we end up doing with this? And again, it's already evolved into something we never even imagined. And so that's the way I view this upcoming year and years to come, is that this is going to morph into something more and more. I don't think we're going to settle on, okay, let's go back to the way it was, or I think it'll just continue to evolve,
Mhm,
continue to grow, continue to, the goal is going to be to continue to put out content, one
mhm,
form or fashion, the podcast, the takeaways and other things. And like Dave said, we did one webinar. We're going to do more for this upcoming year. So that's what this has turned into. Just again, content sharing, growing a community of individuals who want to advance personally, professionally, or career wise. And that's what our goal is. Starting this all out, was that's what it was about, helping
mhm,
people move to that next level, whatever that is for you.
mhm.
That's what we want to be able to help you with, to provide content for. And so again, I don't see us stopping. I don't see us turning it around. I think it's just going to continue to get bigger and better.
Yeah.
um,
So Joe, you've asked me a couple of questions. I'm going to throw one back at you. So,
okay.
season three, we ended up with 25 guest speakers, and it wasn't planned. It was just like the third and fourth quarters just really went nuts on us.
Right.
So let the audience know, how many guest speakers are we shooting for in season four?
So should we do this? Because once you say it, you
Well,
gotta
it's
hold
a goal. We
yourself
can
to
put
the
that goal
fire.
out there. We can put that goal out there. Let's see what happens.
Well, like Dave said, we made huge strides going from 6 to 25, and then for season 4, like you said, we worked on our goals for 25, 26, and 27, and for 25 for season 4, our goal is to have 52 guests. That
Wow, that's
that
amazing. That's
I
one a week, isn't it, Joe? That's one
that's
a
one
week.
a week. So we
Woo.
have committed to continuing to reach out to people, and have people reach out to us if they want to share their journeys, if they want to be a positive impact to our audience. So we have made the commitment to have 52, at least 52
Oh
guests
wow, there you
this
now you put
year.
an at least in
So
front of it.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. We put it out there, and so our goal again is to maintain the consistency, continue, dropping weekly podcasts, but it, hopefully we're going to get to the point where we may have to drop more than that. But the goal is 52 guests this year. So again, we are elevating, we're moving forward, and again, hopefully we'll have continue to have amazing guests, which I'm sure we will. And again, this is all for our community, for our audience. Hopefully we can continue to provide new, fresh, relevant content that you'll be able to apply to your journey. And I've said this many times over, regardless of, if you had the eh, blueprint in front of you, it still comes down to how can I apply all this information, all of this knowledge to my journey? How is this relevant to me? That's what it still comes down to. You defining what success looks like, what your next level looks like. Hopefully we're just providing content that might be able to weave into your journey, and that's what the premise for the podcast is. It because we all are still trying to move forward,
Yeah.
and so again, that's why I say all the guests we're having on there, we're learning just as much as our audience is, because they bring so much relevance to what we're doing. And like Dave said, we have gained so much from the 25 guests that we've had on here. We've been able to apply so many into different things, to our podcast, to our journeys, that again, never would have thought imaginable before season 3. Even season 1, when we're just again having a conversation, now it is just again pushed our boundaries out beyond what this could be. And that's the power in year 3 and year 4. Again, 52 guests, with different insights, different backgrounds, different experiences, which is again, now we can absorb that and apply it
Mhm.
to how it benefits us as individuals, as you know, host, as business partners. So this is so huge. Again, that's why we're so excited about it. I know we're just kind of rehashing this past year, but again, it's the excitement of what's next. Where does this go? And with introducing 52 new people, it just continues to accelerate, or the potential for it just continues to advance to grow.
Mhm.
That's why we get excited, because we can see, that this goes to the next level for us. It
Yeah.
continues to grow, it continues to develop, and that's what's so exciting about this. So hopefully you can see that excitement in us, and that you get excited about year 4, because again, we never would have thought we'd be saying we reached 156 episodes consistently
Mm.
weekly, that we've done that. And so
156 weeks in a row.
156 weeks in a row. Again,
Wow.
I just that is it just it still blows my mind that we've been, that consistent, that we've
Mhm.
done this weekly, that we've continued to provide it, because it's important to us. And
Yeah.
so it just fuels us when we're having a bad, day or week. We jump on the podcast and we know what we're doing is important. So that's why we're going to continue to figure out how we can continue to broaden this, to to,
Mhm.
to incorporate more people. And so
Yeah.
again, I'm excited. I'm sorry, Dave, I've just been
It's all
hogging
right. It's all right, man. I'm
this.
excited
But
too. We've got a couple minutes left. A little bit of a spoiler here. Sometime in sometime in season four, we're going to introduce a new intro and outro
Yep.
for our podcast.
Yep.
It's part of our evolution. We're always crunching ideas. Visit our johnsop.com podcast site. Visit our affiliate site. And our I guess new side hustle or continuing side hustle is Epsilon Professional Development Solutions. We've got again a program for personal, professional, and career development. We've got an organizational development program. This year is absolutely going to be wonderful, especially with 52 new insights from other
Yep.
people, their backgrounds, the sheer demographics that are coming to us is just amazing. I mean,
Yep.
it's something that Joe and I could have never fathomed. If you had asked us year one, anytime, what was great, we'd have been like, "Whoa, we reached 20 episodes! Let's celebrate!" And now we're like, "Wow, this is year four that's coming up, and 150, 156 episodes every week." So if you're curious, you're down, you're up, you're whatever, listen to some of these podcasts, watch some of these podcasts, share these podcasts, like and subscribe. We're on 15 different platforms to include YouTube and Spotify. You know, share the hype. This is great stuff. Every guest speaker and most of them have better credentials than Joe and I just through life
Right.
experience and what they're doing and where they're at. I mean, some of these people are Fortune 5 executive coaches. Many of these people are CEOs of their own businesses that they've created, and they've started from nothing or come from challenging situations. Education, formal education may or may not have played a part. These are real people. These are not people that are born with silver spoons in their mouth. They're not the upper echelon of the elitist class. These are people like you and Joe and I, you know, lower middle class people that are doing something, trying to do something and make a difference. So I'm going to pause there. I could ramble on for hours.
No, again, again, hopefully you can see the excitement we have for the upcoming season. Again, for the previous three seasons, but I think we're reaching for new heights in season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, we really just have not set any limits or any boundaries on what this looks like or where it goes. So that's what we're excited about. And again, I think you can see that or hear it in our voices if you're listening to the podcast. But we'll end it there. Again, like Dave said, we're excited about the guests. Just some changes that subtle changes that you'll recognize, but the idea is that we continue to move forward, that we continue to test the waters, we continue to continue to grow, develop, learn, continuous learning. I mean, we you see the sign behind both of our chairs. It says continual professional development. That includes continuous learning. And I think again we get the pleasure of meeting 52 amazing people for season 4 again, and we're like Dave said, we'll be taking mental notes. We'll be see us scratching down. Wow, that was powerful. And so because a lot of times you don't see the conversations before and after the
We're picking
podcast,
our
but
jaws up. We're just like,
yeah, and we get to walk away with additional information and knowledge, and that again, that's what's so exciting about this whole process. So we're gonna. Dave, do you have any last comments?
I think I'm good. Otherwise, we're gonna be talking for another hour.
Right, right. So again, this is a little different from our previous podcast where we've shared the topic. For us though, this was important to get it out there. Again, the excitement around, especially the second half of last year, season 3, and this what's propelled us into year 4. And again, like I say, to have the plan to have 52 guests. Again, that's we wouldn't. What year 1 we had no guest, so now we're talking about 52, at least 52 guests for year 4. Again, shows us where we're going. The path we're taking again is to continue to provide you with content that will help you along your journey. So I'm going to stop there because again, like Dave said, we can continue to talk about this. We talked about it before we got on the air, and now we spent another 30 minutes or so talking about it. But again, we're excited. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing this, and hopefully, you'll come back um, to hear and see us as we continue to progress. So, it's been a pleasure sharing our last 3 years and our goals for coming up year. But again, if this is your first time tuning in, you picked the right one, because now you can get excited about what's up for the next year. So, but again, if you're gaining something from this, please share with your friends, family, people that you might think might benefit from this content. And we're always open to hearing suggestions, recommendations. So thanks for being our audience, and thanks again for being part of our journey. Like I said, we say it all the time. This is still our journey. We're still excited about our journey. We're still excited about where this goes. So, with that, we just want to thank you for tuning in, for continuing to support us. We do appreciate everything. All of our audience, everybody out there means the world to us. So, with that, we want you to continue being your not so ordinary you.